إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا فإنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. عباد الله، فإن أحسن الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He should be praised. And we seek His forgiveness. And we seek His forgiveness from the evils of our own sins and our own doings. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear Him as He should be feared. And do not die except in a state of Islam, in a state of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say the truth. Say what is correct. If you do so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would rectify your actions, would correct your deeds. And whomever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, that he has already attained the ultimate success. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the best of speech is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran. And the best of guidance is the guidance of His Messenger Mohamed sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of matters are newly innovated matters in this religion. Because whatever is newly innovated in this religion will lead you astray. Whatever leads you astray will lead you to the hellfire. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ عِدَّةَ الشُّهُورِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منهم 4 حرم ذلك الدين القيم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse talks to us or tells us about how He created time and span in this world in terms of months and days, and He said that the number of months in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are 12 months. The number of months of the year in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are 12. In His book, as He decreed, when He has created this world, when He created the heavens and the earth, among those months He chose 4. منهم 4 حرم. They are sacred. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala picked specific months that He had made sacred. They have a special sanctity to them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ. This is the straight, the correct religion. And so do not transgress upon yourself in those 4 months. Do not transgress upon yourself in those 4 months. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, in a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, he narrates the Prophet ﷺ specifying those 4 months. When the Prophet ﷺ said, السنة 12 شهر منهم 4 حرم 3 متواليات ذو القعدة وذو الحجة ومحرم وجمادى مضر الذي بين ورجب مضر الذي بين جمادى وشعبان. So the Prophet specified, he says that the year has 12 months. السنة 12 شهرا. That the year has 12 months, and these are lunar years, not solar years. So the correct actually calculation is by lunar years. The Prophet said that they are 12 months. 4 of them are sacred, 3 of them in a row. ذو القعدة, ذو الحجة, and Muharram. And then Rajab, Mudar. It has two names, Rajab, which are known now, but Mudar is also the name of a tribe because they also used to always make this month a month that is sacred. And then he specified which one it is. He said, Rajab, الذي بين جمادى وشعبان. It comes between Jumada al-Akhir and Sha'ban. He's specifying because sometimes the people of the Arabian Peninsula, they would do is they would shift this month around. One year they'll make it sacred, another they would not make it sacred. So the Prophet specified. Now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directs us and orders us, He says in this verse, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not transgress upon yourself in those months. This is a direct order. And it's interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say, do not transgress, and just left it. Because generally speaking, when we think of transgression, we think of the other. That we have wronged the other. That we were unjust towards the other. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specified yourself. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, when he was talking about the tafsir of this verse, he was a bit more specific and he said, when he's talking about these things, he said, yes, there are 4 sacred months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made sacred. And He placed a priority on their sacredness, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so He specified, He said that the sin in those months is more grave, is more weighty, is more severe. And also the reward in this month is more plentiful, more rewardful. And so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you, do not transgress upon yourself, He's pointing us that these months are extremely sacred. Now it does not mean do not, you can sin every other month. You shouldn't. But those months are even more sacred. Do not wrong yourself. Do not be unjust toward yourself by sinning in them. Now how do we transgress upon ourselves? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed a trust upon us, that He gave us ourselves, that we need to protect and nurture and guide towards the Jannah. Do everything possible for it in terms of obedience so that it would attain the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and protect it from whatever it would harm it in this world and the hereafter. However, when you sin, you have wronged yourself because you betrayed that trust. We sometimes don't realize that the person who's affected the most by the hasanat and the sayyat, by the good deeds and the bad deeds, is ourselves. We don't realize, but the first individual that is really impacted by either or, one of these things, is ourselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not be unjustful to yourself. Do not transgress upon yourself, because if you sin in this month, or these months, it is more of a heavier sin. You place yourself in a position where you deserve the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you deserve the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't do this. Stay away from it. Do not wrong yourself. And so it's important for us to be conscious of this, and for the remainder of this month, to make sure that we do the most of good deeds as we can. But more importantly, also refrain from what is bad, especially the major sins. Unfortunately, there's a lot of sins that we become accustomed to. We become a habit, that we forget their sins. That we forget that they are in fact sins. They become so easily facilitated because of the easiness of the movement of information and news between one media and the other. It's very easy for something to happen and then you hear it on the other side. The transportation of this information or media or whatever the case is becomes very easy. It's very easy for us to make comments now on things. They spread from one place to another very quickly. Now, I specifically want to mention one thing that we have to be careful about is spreading of rumors and backbiting. Spreading of rumors and backbiting. Quite often, this is something that is easily spread. We don't think about it. We hear something, we repeat it. We might repost a news without really figuring out if it's true or not. We sometimes aid in the spread of these rumors, which can lead to actually backbiting. Sometimes they're very associated. The Prophet ﷺ had mentioned in the hadith, and he said, مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Whomever believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the hereafter, then let him say good or remain silent. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, can you imagine the type of society we would live in if everybody made sure that the only thing they said was something good, otherwise we'd remain silent? Can you imagine how much less gossip or hurtful words are spread around? One of the companions inquired about the things we say. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he said, isn't it that people would fall on their faces in the hellfire because of their tongues what they have collected? It's something that's important. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا. And another narration, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ كَذِبًا أَنْ يُحَدِّثَ بِكُلِّ مَا سَمَعَ. It is enough of a sin. It's enough of a lie that a person would repeat everything he hears. And in our case, in the modern world, everything that we read perhaps. We have to be careful. So how do we deal with these things that we're not sure of, or will become our counter? First of all, the first thing is that we should never be actively seeking rumors. And I know it's very tempting to sink our teeth in a very juicy gossip. It's sometimes in our nature to be inclined and curious. But the Prophet ﷺ told us otherwise. He said, مِنْ حُسْنِ إِسْلَامِ الْمَرْءِ تَرْكُهُ مَا لَا يَعْنِيهِ. Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet ﷺ said that it is from the perfections of one, from the perfection of one's Islam, from the perfection of one's submission, to leave alone what does not concern him. And what should concern us is what is beneficial for us in the hereafter. This is what really should concern us. We should be busy with our own selves, correcting our own defects, making sure what we do is correct, making sure that we are building our hereafter. The Sahaba did this, and so quite often they did not pay attention to other people's defects. They did not care about them because they were concerned by themselves, whatever concerns them. And so we should not be following this. But what if it came to us? The first thing we should do is not spread them. Because of the two narrations I mentioned, it is enough of a sin that a person would repeat everything he hears. And of course, writing and reading comes into this. So stop, pause. And then what do you do? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. If a piece of news comes to you, over here the verse of the Quran says fasiq, a person who goes beyond the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says whatever the case is. But this is regarding any news. If you receive a news about a group of people, what do? تَبَيَّنُوا. In another narration, authentic narration of the Quran, because we have Qur'an of the Quran, it says فَتَثَبَّتُوا. Confirm it. And it's beautiful to hear these different citations because it clarifies the meaning even further. فَتَبَيَّنُوا, make sure it's correct. فَتَثَبَّتُوا, affirm it. Why? Perhaps you might wrongfully afflict other people who are innocent with harm. And then you would regret it. Because quite often it's a lie and we're propagating it and we do not know. So we should stop. Confirm it. Now, to be honest, for you to confirm it, we should go back to the first hadith. Confirm it only if it concerns you. Otherwise, just ignore it. There's no point of it. It's a waste of your time. And most likely it will drag you into something you do not like. If it concerns you, then you might want to think of specific actions. Now, this is all meant to protect us from falling into the major sin of backbiting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا. Do not backbite one another. Does one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother? The flesh of his dead brother. Can you imagine the horrific imagery of this? This is how it is to backbite. Because quite often rumors, you're backbiting. If they're true, you still say something the person doesn't like. If they're false, that's even worse. فَقَدْ بَهَدْتَ. Then you have lies. So there's ghiba and buht. One is worse than the other. And so in both cases, you're not doing something that is good. Especially when it doesn't concern you. Especially when you're not affiliated with the situation. Can I ask the brothers, actually a lot of spots over here, can you just kind of find a spot in the middle? Your brother's already sitting outside and standing outside. You just kind of move forward, move to the side. Jazakumullah khair. And so it's important for us to be careful of this major sin. And that's talking about the month of Muharram, or the sacred months. Now Muharram of these sacred months, by the way, also has a virtue. It also has a virtue. The Prophet ﷺ, it was narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل الصيام بعد شهر رمضان شهر الله المحرم. The Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, and it's a Sahih Muslim, he said the best of fasting, the best of fasting after the month of Ramadan is the fasting of the month of Muharram. Is the fasting of the month of Muharram. It tells you the virtue of this month in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this is an encouragement to do good deeds, to strive. The Prophet ﷺ specifically mentioned this month, this is the best month of fasting in the eyesight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similar to how he said in the same hadith, وَأَفْضَلُ الصَّلَاةِ بَعْدَ الْفَرِيضَةِ قِيَامُ اللَّيْلِ. And the best form of prayers after the 5 mandatory prayers, the obligatory prayers, is qiyam al-layl. It gives it a specific level. One of the mukhadaramin, now mukhadaram by the way is a term most people don't know. We have the sahaba and the tabi'een. The mukhadaram is an individual who did embrace Islam in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but did not meet him. So he's not a sahabi, he's a rank below, he's a mukhadaram. And quite often, sometimes they became Muslims and traveled to Medina. By the time they got to the Medina, the Prophet ﷺ had passed away. Now, one of the mukhadaramin, he said that the friends of the Prophet ﷺ, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, used to glorify or put in priority or importance 3 10s. 3 10 days they placed in priority. And he said that the last 10 days of Ramadan, the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and the first 10 days of Muharram. And so out of those 10 months, it's indicating now that there is a specific 10 days that are extremely important. From 1 to 10. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ, even out of these 10, he specified one that has more of a virtue. And that is the 10th of Muharram. The 10th of Muharram. Abdullah ibn Abbas narrates that the Prophet he says, ما رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحرى يوما يصومه يفضله على غيره مثل هذا اليوم يوم عاشوراء. That I have not seen the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحرى, which means he's seeking, actively seek. يتحرى means to actively seek, to fast a day, a specific day that he would prefer and prioritize and give virtue more than this day, the day of Muharram. And then when asked, the Prophet ﷺ was asked in another narration, why? The Prophet ﷺ said, أحتسب على الله أن يكفر السنة القادمة. أحتسب, which means that I am seeking the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by fasting this day, He would forgive the sins of the previous year. And so this is the virtue of this day. Now the Prophet ﷺ did fast these days. And in fact, before the Ramadan became an obligatory form of fast, it was compulsory and mandatory upon the Sahaba to fast this day. It was compulsory for them to fast this day. Afterwards, when Ramadan was made mandatory to fast, the Prophet ﷺ said, I would fast this day, and whomever wants to fast it, fast it. Whomever doesn't want to, let him not fast. Which tells you now this is a sunnah. However, it's a very recommended sunnah that has extreme virtues and a lot of virtues associated with it. Now that being said, the Prophet ﷺ, before his death, the companions had mentioned to him, because they knew that the Prophet ﷺ had sought every single way to differentiate himself as a Muslim from the practices of the non-Muslims, so that they would have their own identity, their own practices. Whenever you would see them, they'd realize, all right, these are Muslims. This identity is important. The Prophet ﷺ sought heavily to distinguish himself and teach his companions to distinguish themselves by their practicing of Islam. And so when they told him that the Bani Israel, the Yehud of the Medina, they also fast the 10th, or they celebrate the 10th. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, he said, إِذَا كَانَ الْعَامُ قَادِمْ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ سُمْنَ التَّاسِعِ وَالْعَاشِرِ. He said, if the next year comes, inshaAllah, I will fast the 9th and the 10th. However, the narration mentions that the Prophet ﷺ did not live to the following year. But it has become a sunnah because he said he would do it. And so the best of sunnah is to fast the 9th and the 10th. Now in some circumstances, when there's a conflict of when did Muharram start, and we seem to have this debate around, I just kind of noticed that people are asking when did Muharram start. Some people saying the 10th is tomorrow, others saying that it is Sunday. Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal radiallahu anhu was asked the question. He was asked, what if people are debating when did it start? What if I'm not sure when it starts? Now they're asking this because they really want to get the reward of fasting the 10th. And so Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal said, then fast 3 days. The 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. Because whatever sighting you're following, if it's before, you'll still hit it. If it's after, you'll still hit it. So 3 days. He said the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. So if you're not sure, if you really want to make sure that you reap the reward of this day, then fast the 9th, because according to some calendars and some sightings, today's the 9th. To others, it's tomorrow. So fast the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th, so that you would not miss this day. Now, once again, it's not mandatory. It's sufficient for you to fast the 10th by itself. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of us. Amen. But if you don't fast it at all, it's not a sin. But it's really important for us not to be the type of people that have the mindset, I'm just going to do the bare minimum. This is not a mindset of a person who is striving. You know what? We don't even accept that mindset from a person that is doing a job for us. Would you accept a person to walk in your house, to build your house, or to fix your appliances and say, listen, I'm just going to do the 51%. I'm just going to do the bare minimum for you. Really, technically, this is what I'm obligated to do. Would you accept that from him? Not. So why would you accept it from your own self? Our religion teaches us to strive for perfection. Ihsan. To strive for that perfection. To seek the highest rewards. The Prophet ﷺ taught us in the hadith, he said, if you seek the Jannah, then ask for the Firdaus. The highest level of Jannah. May Allah give all of us Firdaus. The highest level of Jannah, which underneath the ceiling of that level is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the level where the messengers are. So seek that highest level. The Prophet ﷺ in a hadith also mentioned and teaches, if you do something, then perfect it. And so we should strive for this. We should not be hoping to just enter Jannah. We should not just be hoping to kind of drag ourselves into the lowest of levels. But rather we should aim higher. And so I do highly encourage, if you can fast both days, then do. If you can fast 3, then do the 3rd. If you can't and you can only do 1, then do it. But try to do something in those days. If not, then try to make sure you do the best of these and actions for the remainder of Muharram, and to refrain from doing anything that is wrong. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us, to forgive all of us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم ولكم. إن الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, it is said that us as humans, we're actually just composed of days. We're composed of days. From the time we are born to the time we pass away, it's only but days. Every day that passes, a part of us leaves. And so we should focus on what is remaining. Take advantage of what is remaining. A person came to Fulayl ibn Iyad, and he asked him about something. He said, "How old are you?" He said, "I'm 60. So he said, "SubhanAllah, for 60 years you've been walking towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means you're approaching your final destination to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And so the man said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." We belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him we will return. And so he said, "Wayhak, woe to you. Do you know what this means, what the phrase you mean? Do you know what the phrase you just said, do you know what it means?" He said, "Yes, we belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we belong to Him." He said, "This phrase means that you should know that if you are going to be returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then He is going to question you. Then you need to prepare an answer for the question." And so when the man understood its meaning, he said, "What should I do?" He said, "الخطب يسير. أحسن فيما بقى يغفر الله لك ما مضى." He said, "It is simple. Don't worry about it." He said, "Be good in what is remaining." Ahsan, which means perfect and beautify what is remaining. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive what has passed. Dear brothers in Islam, there's always hope. We never run out of time, but it's just a matter of taking advantage of what we have, prioritizing what is right, making sure we know where we're headed, where we're going, and where we're ending. اللهم اغفر لنا البلاد الأحياء منهم والأموات، اللهم ارحمنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، ونسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى، ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار، اللهم اختم لنا بالصالحات، اللهم اختم لنا بالصالحات، اللهم اختم لنا بالصالحات، اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها، اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها، اللهم علمنا ينفعنا وانفعنا بعلمتنا وزدنا علما. There's quite a few individuals that have asked for the dua of the congregation, whether they're sick or deceased and so forth. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure the diseases of all, or the sicknesses of all of the Muslims who are alive. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure them and to bring them back health. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our deceased. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place His mercy upon them and to make their graves a part of heaven and to protect them from the hellfire. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وقوموا إلى صلاتكم.